To our city council meeting tonight for Hooper City. I am Mayor Sherry Bingham and I will be conducting this meeting. We are going to go ahead and have a pledge of allegiance by Council Member Fowers and then a reverence by Council Member Hill.
And to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be gathered together tonight as a city council and as a community. We're grateful for all the blessings that Thou hast bestowed upon us, and we're thankful for the circumstances which we live, which are favorable. We're thankful for the good people who surround us and the neighbors and friends we have that we live with, and we ask a blessing upon all of us that we may be watched over and protected and guided and directed in our thoughts and our actions and the choices that we make each day. We are mindful of the events that have taken place the last several weeks in our state and our community, and we pray for civility and peace and harmony to prevail, that we can be able to participate in giving back a peaceful and a thoughtful way of communicating one with each other and living with each other. We pray for calm heads and strong hearts to lead us through the times that will surely come. We ask for civility as we talk about these things tonight on our agenda. Pray for peace and harmony to prevail in our community and our lives. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you. We just wanted to make you aware of a couple of upcoming events. Next Wednesday, September 24th at 5 o'clock here in this building, Stephanie Russell, who is the Weber County Economic Development Director, is going to do a community presentation on CRAs. CRAs are the Community Redevelopment Agency. And I know there's been a lot of questions asked about this. We've seen a lot of this posted. And so we thought this would be really good to have a community presentation. You can come and ask questions, and she's bringing someone else from the county with her to give us information on those. So that's next Wednesday, the 24th at 5 o'clock here in this room right here. And then the other thing coming up is we have the Halloween Haunt, which is going to be Saturday, October 11th. That is down at Hooper Park, and that is from 6:30 until 9 o'clock. It's a lot of fun. If you've been to the Halloween Haunt or not, you need to come, and it's really a good community activity. The next thing on our agenda will be public comments. If anyone has a comment to make, if you would like to come up to the podium, please state your name. You have 3 minutes. You can watch for our city recorder. Will let you know when your time is up, and we'll turn the time now to anyone that would like to come up and make a comment.
My name is Rick Wells, and I came before this body about 2 months ago about my neighbors and their Sanford and Son situation that they've created. I've talked to the compliance people with Weber County. They went in, they talked to him. He cleaned up the place for about 2 weeks. And it's been an ongoing issue for like the last 9 years. I mentioned this before. Mike Fisher talked to him years ago, like 8-9 years ago. Ex-Mayor Corey Green went over there, inspected it, went and talked to him and said, this is not acceptable for Hooper, according to their ordinances. Okay. Councilman Wilcox has been over not once, but twice to look at the situation, and he was in agreement. Okay. He's got 5 or 6 unlicensed vehicles right now back there that I could see. If you drive by on 5500, the front of the house looks nice. Shrubbery, green grass, house looks nice, but it's once you go to the back, he set up 5 or 6 connexes, shipping containers back there. I talked to the compliance people about that. They said, well, I wonder if he got a land use permit to do that. Nobody knows. Last time I talked to the compliance people, they said, well, everything's fine. Well, it's not fine. I know you guys pay them to take care of everything. I make this quick. He has a chicken coop. He was told by Mike Fisher years ago to move it. He was out of compliance. They told him to move it, the compliance people, this last time. He said, I'm not moving it because my neighbor's horses are too close to the fence. Well, we share a fence on the east side. His horses are on one side, mine are on the other. So if mine are too close to the fence, his are obviously too close to the fence. Okay, I checked the ordinance of Hooper. I'm sure the city council set it up. A chicken coop has to be a minimum of 5 foot from the fence unless there's an easement. Then it has to be 10. He's built that right on top of an easement. My question to you is, I know you contract through the compliance Weber County. Can you guys come look? And if you're in agreement, why can't you guys send them a letter yourselves? Say, this is unacceptable. You need to do this, this, and this. Your cooperation would be appreciated. And if not, we're going to take it the next step further. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments tonight? Okay, seeing no other comments then, we're going to move on. The first thing we have then is the approval of the minutes dated August 21st. Council, have you had time to review the minutes? Did anyone see any corrections or you needed changes?
I do have one thing. In our minutes from last meeting. Oh my God, things echoey. In our minutes from last meeting, I had brought up the fact that we didn't follow procedure in our August 7th meeting. That there was 3 items on the agenda that were neither approved, denied, or tabled. And I didn't see that discussion or those comments in the minutes for tonight. And so just wondered why they weren't there. All we had is grammatical corrections in our minutes tonight, and that comment I talked about last time is not in here at all.
Okay, we can have Deputy Recorder.
So I mean, I would like that comment on public record. So my motion is to table the motion or to make the motion to table the minutes for last meeting till we get the correction made.
I'd second that.
Okay, we had a motion made by Council Member Hill, a second made by Council Member Fowers. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. So we'll get that corrected and have those ready to be approved at the next meeting. Okay, so the next thing we have is a presentation that we're going to have by Dave Harris, who is our emergency preparedness specialist. So we will turn the time over to you, and thank you for coming. And hopefully everybody saw our really nice red emergency preparedness trailer down at Hooper Tomato Days.
You know, the next one. No, yeah. So I want to give a little bit of a status of where we are, what we've done. So I may ask you to come back to this agenda a few times, but if you can go to the next slide. So this is just a sample of our agenda that when we meet, and we met last night, that happens to be the previous month, but you can see we have those sub teams, marketing CERT, which is emergency response, VOAD, which is, I forget what it is, volunteer organization, something or other. But it is, VOAD is where if, as a city, if we deem we need help that's beyond our reach, there are many organizations that specialize in whatever it may be. And it's on from a recovery perspective. So Cheryl manages that. She's been to some meetings trying to get us aware and how we would deploy that. Emergency plan. Oh, I'd like to, we have 4 of our team members back here, Annika, Monica, and Brian and Casey. So they're here to support. So Annika's working on the plan and we'll talk about that, but it is not that it really matters to you what it looks like right here, but we spent, she's been working on that. And then last night we spent some time going through that, trying to make it appropriate for us without being a working document that has some validity that we go back to. And then Brian has the emergency response trailer. And then I want to talk a little bit about the fire. But anyway, you go to the next slide. So there's the trailer. One back. There we go. So we are, as you know, we have a trailer. If you saw it at the park, I don't think, did it have the writing on when it went to Hooper? Okay. Yeah, because that's pretty recent. Incidentally, we need a place to put it. Right now, it sits behind Diane Sorensen's house and has been there since we bought it. We'd like to have it in an enclosure. Simply, you think about any fire department, every piece of emergency equipment is in a building. It's not sitting out in the parking lot. I think this one should be as well. So there may be a bay over here that we could commandeer, and that could be parked in. There's a lot of questions about access to it, because we can't just have one person that can get to it, because if that one person isn't available, it just doesn't make sense. So it needs to be there, but how we make it accessible is something we would deal with. So we go next slide. So that is some through the, what do you pop down just a couple, that one, and then we'll go back. So this is a list, and it's actually, the terminology is a mass casualty trailer, but we don't want a trailer running around Hooper that says mass casualty. So that's why we call it emergency response. But this is what needs to be in it. And it's going to take us a while to get that collected and in there. Right now we're working on shovel. You go back one. So this was, the state has decided, or did decide, that they were going to do PPE. And so through the county, I went through the list and said, can we get this? The county down, went and picked it up. There's things that aren't PPE in here. Useful to us. Some of it we have 5,000 gowns we'll never use, but a lot of it is very useful for us. It helps us get a little bit of that list that you saw just a minute ago. And that is in the trailer. We don't have any racking yet. We need to do racking. So a couple of things I'd like tonight is how we go about getting the racking. And then as we start to populate or fill that trailer. If there's an amount that says we can go spend without coming to get permission, or how we do that. But we are ready to start putting the racks in, and we're going to make them fully adjustable so that we can accommodate whatever is in there. So I don't know if you can tell me right now, or if that has to be something that's as a follow-up, how we go about spending money.
So you do already have that money in the budget that has been designated for you. With our procurement policy, if it's ever anything over 5,000, it needs to come to if it's not in the budget, but even if it is in the budget, we like to have that brought to city council to be approved. So it depends. I'm not that familiar with how much racking would cost. But
I
do
think,
you-
I think we'd easily be under 5. Now, the list, can you go back to the long list? That list there, that could easily take us over 5, but I don't see us, it's going to take us a while to get it. Because we're really, like the trailer, incidentally, the guy gave us $2,000 off. Our ambition is to be as frugal with that money as we can. So if we look for opportunities through the county or other cities that we can join in and purchase to save some money, this is going to take, so I don't see a $5,000 spend at any given time. This may be 10, this may be 15, but it may take us a year to spend that. So
So,
if we're under 5,
so what you're asking, so, because I know you want to buy racking right now.
yep.
So is the process, they just go purchase it and turn in a receipt to you, Morgan? And then hopefully they get paid quick. Is that right?
Okay. So that would be great, because at least we can do maybe 80% of it. And once it starts to outfit, there's going to be some that's, oh, we need this bracket, we need this. So we'll approach it from that perspective, is to say, it'll be like a Home Depot. We're going to go buy the Unistrut or somebody, and so I don't know where he's getting it, but
And also we would have that you would not pay sales tax if it's purchased through the city because cities do not pay. So that would be beneficial, would be a savings to you too. So yes, get with Morgan. She
oh,
get that.
incidentally, is the trailer licensed or whatever we have to do? Do we get plates or what do we have to do? Okay, because we don't, I mean, it hasn't gone anywhere, but we don't have anything on the back end that says it's. Okay, will you go
So
back?
before I lose my train of thought, so as far as parking it, can you find out if there's room in the tower building? Because I know there was at one time, and I know there might be some other things in there that could be out in the weather. But I agree with you, especially with red, it needs to be.
And from my perspective,
Yeah,
that's, we have
I
to,
agree.
we don't want to put an emergency vehicle out in the weather and then rely on it because whatever, the sun eats up a tire or whatever may happen. I don't know, but so you'll let us know? Okay. Okay, can you go back to right, right back to the agenda. I just want to make sure. Oh, so there you can go back to that slide. So I think in July, the county is using Everbridge, and it's this high velocity, it's critical event management. You can see right there, that's just a slide from their homepage. And if you remember, I came to the working meeting and said, I can't do it because it has to be an employee. You said somebody would come, nobody came. I went there, we're not part of this. As far as I know, the county's flipping the bill for that. But this is what the county's doing. It makes sense to me. I don't remember what the one that was before this one, that we should be part of it, but we're not. And I don't even know how now to get back into the training and get signed up for it. Now, maybe somebody wants to look at it and say, no, this is not what the city wants to do. I don't know. But from my perspective, this is what we should be doing. So I guess I need to make sure there's somebody that's going to come back and tell me what we're doing or not doing in relation to this.
Do you have a contact information of who we should get in?
Right
touch
now,
with?
I'd go to Lisa, is it Schwartz? I'd go to her because she's the director of emergency management for the county. And you can just ask her. I mean, I can do it again also. She's not highly responsive to emails, but when I go to the county meeting once a month, I can ask about what it would take us to get somebody up to speed. Do you know anything about it? Do you know anything about it, about Everbridge? Okay. It is new. I mean, July was the training, or I think it was July. So yes, there you go. I knew the replacement, but I couldn't remember what the other one was. We pop back to the. back to the agenda for this meeting, not that one. Keep going back. So we talked about the money. So our emergency plan, let me just kind of, so you can leave it there. I just happened to be up in North Ogden right after that fire. In fact, the choppers were still flying around. And the way they had designated and barricaded the streets. If we have something that hits Hooper, we are not prepared to handle it. Now, I realize that if it's an event that's isolated like that, that emergency county would come in. They would take charge. It wouldn't be us. But the position we're in is no one's coming. If it's a big enough issue, and I'm not talking about an isolated one, but if it's a larger area, no one's coming to help because it's the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people. We don't have the greatest amount of people. And if it's widespread enough, we may need be days before we get somebody. So we are not prepared to do something like that if it was widespread. So I want to be a little critical about, I wonder how many times in your work meeting, emergency preparedness has been a topic. I would guess this many times. So it feels like, and we as a team last night, we talked about, it feels like I'm going to call this a Hooper Emergency Preparedness Club. We just meet together and we talk about things. But if truly I represent the city from an emergency manager position, and and I'm pointing back to these four, and there's some others that are core to the group. If we are developing Hooper's plan, we need support. And I know there's 1,000 things to do, and I'm not asking for more resources, but I'm asking for attention. You know, Everbridge, we missed it. We're not in the newsletter. I didn't even, I realize it comes out, but I didn't think about it. Hey, if you want to put something in here, now's the time to get it. There's nothing on that board out there. We've had something out there, it's gone. To me, there ought to be a category out there. There's those categories. Emergency preparedness should be a category. If we're serious about it as a city, and if indeed I've been asked to be the emergency manager, we need to step up as a city, and the city needs to be, it can't be just this isolated group that meets once a month and sings Kumbaya and talks about the things we want to do or the things we should do. If the city's not behind us, it's futile. And I'll tell you right now, it feels like the city is not behind us, that we're doing our own little thing independent of the city. And we need, again, I'm not asking for resources. I'm asking for attention, not for me, but for the effort.
So you have a marketing person, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Have they reached out to the city it'd be nice to get like maybe your own little link or even something on the front page that promotes, your I should say
So
our meetings, and
she does it through Facebook. And we talked last night, she's going to reach out to you,
Well-
Morgan, trying to, she's relatively new in that role.
Okay. I think she, if you want the city to be, because not everybody's on Facebook, but I'd do both, let's let's figure out how to get it on the community page,
So why I'm complaining, another complaint.
You're good at it. Just kidding.
I
I know
think-
Dave well, so.
I think when the website was changed and we had an opportunity, we didn't have an opportunity to do anything about in a more presentable way about emergency preparedness. That we should be more, it should be accessible. All of the things we're trying to do, we have a Google Docs and we have Facebook and all the things we're trying to put out there for the community. We just don't have a mechanism, and it belongs on the web, on Hooper City's webpage.
Just really quick.
Oh, yeah, it's there, but it's not, if you go to and he had a lot of those links, they don't work. He points back to some of whoever points back to some of the state things. That's really all I have. It's just, we just need to have a more involvement from the city in a committed way, and not just that we're a club meeting and doing our own little thing and think we represent the city.
So really quick, David, on our website under government, there or community, there is emergency preparedness tab, and it does give all of the Google Drive documents. I don't know if you shared it or if one of your group members shared it. We can add you, like on our main homepage, there's a few little square boxes a little bit further down. We can add that as a main square box. That way people know it's there.
So how do we routinely get things out there on that page?
On our website.
Yeah,
Just email me
and you'll put it out
and I'll
there.
get it on, yeah. I guess I just need more communication.
Because like for quite a while, the upcoming events was months behind. It didn't get updated. So if that's how we do it, that we send it to you and it'll be put there.
I'll also give you our third-party website gal's email. You can tag us both in. She does live back east, and so she is a little bit time difference, so just take that into consideration.
So is there any development opportunities on the site?
Yeah, she does it all.
But we can go ahead and say, we would want you to do this and this. Do we need to get approval that we want this to happen?
No, I think as long as it meets your criteria.
Because somebody has to pay for that, right?
For her time, yes, but I don't know. If we want the information out there, I think it's worth the money to pay her to do it.
I agree.
That's my.
I agree.
opinion, But
But can we do that? Are we authorized to go ahead and contact her and say, we want this, this, and this? And we'll just incrementally go through. We want the access visible and links that work and.
But we,
and- Yeah, so if you'll send that to me, that'd be great.
well, we budgeted money for that. So if it, if it is more than the regular cost, I think what we ought to do, Dave, I know that you were talking about having a cert specifically for Hooper. Maybe
Start training, you mean?
cert training, maybe we kick off, maybe we start promoting that for, I don't know, the 1st of January. And I feel bad because I haven't done the cert, but I couldn't just because it was always on a Thursday night. Maybe we start there, we get 20 to 40 people, sign up for that cert and just kind of try to build some momentum that way. I don't know, has anybody moved forward with that as far
So
as?
we actually have, how many now? 8 total?
8, but because it's not FEMA approved, they will not come out. According to Lisa, they will not come out for the training here, no matter how many people we have. They'll do CPR, they'll do like first aid, but it has to be FEMA certified, so that's why you have to go to 12th Street and sign up for the class they offer twice a year. Which we have one coming up, and I have no interest in that training that's in the fall. So typically they won't come here and do it because it's not FEMA certified.
So we have a flyer that we're going to put out that we want to go put in public buildings, churches, and that will have a QR code both for the cert and what else was the QR code for?
The free one that's online.
No, we're going to have 2 QRs, one for cert and anyway, sorry. Okay, that we can make it as public as possible under that marketing umbrella.
Maybe rather than do the cert, maybe we take what they'll give us, they'll do the AED training or CPR, and we go ahead and do that as a community too.
We could if we could generate the interest.
Right,
So
yeah.
What Monica's talking about is cert,
Right.
have certs online free.
Mhm.
We're encouraging that. Just go at least do that. It makes us a little bit better than nothing at all. Because eventually we would like to have enough cert people and RDAP, which you may know what it means, and those 4 know what it means, but with certain RDAP is where we can assess both the physical damage and the medical needs. And we have a certified individual and an RDAP person that go out together and serve that function to assess the needs of the community in a big issue.
Are some links there that come up with QR codes or just a link to the trainings.
For cert.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Monica's pushing that in a aggressive way, but if nobody responds, and that's not your fault. That's not our fault. We just need exposure.
And it's new, so people don't understand that it's out there. So yeah.
Cert?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't even know that's something
Yeah.
out there that exists. And so,
So that's part of our marketing is
Yeah.
to make those things generate enough interest. So we need that, again, it goes back, we need exposure. We need to get, that's why we have somebody marketing, is to get us out there, to let the community know this is what we're doing. So second half of our meeting is we address the business side of our emergency preparedness, and the second half is a topic might be like we had sanitation, 72-hour kit, long-term storage. We're going to be talking about a mark, which you don't need to worry about that. But different things that are second half, trying to generate enough interest in the community. Maybe I don't want to be part of developing your plan, but I want to learn about 72-hour or whatever it may be, and they can come participate. But we need that available, so it's out there. So exposure. We just need, and we need you on board with us or us on board with you, however you want to look at it. So that we can get this, then we'll publish this on the website. But we want to make this as concise as possible, have an appendix that has some issues in, but, or not some issues, but some auxiliary information, but this may be 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 pages. Instead of, Bryce gave me one from Terrace, South Weaver. It was this thick. I had it for 9 months. Nobody asked for it. Let me know that no one was even using it. We want to make ours usable and aware and available to everybody and not get lost in 5,000 pages. Did I miss anything? They're quiet. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
I just appreciate
Thank you.
all you've done, Dave. You exceeded everything that we expected by far, and thank your team as well for all
So
you.
I would, let me just in parting, is we really have a solid core group. And our kind of our mantra is we're just a bunch of volunteers trying to do the best we can. And they have, as you saw, that we've divided up responsibilities because there's no way, which we all know, there's no way one person could do it. And they have really stepped up, which is evidence here tonight. They have been critical to the progress we've made, and we have made a lot of progress. But like anything else, it just reveals how much we need to go, how much further we need to go. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, we do appreciate all you do. Okay, the next thing on our agenda then is we're going to do a budget review by Councilmember Hill.
Where's the ringing coming from? Thank you. So, keep in mind that our fiscal year starts in July of every year. So we're just 2 months into our fiscal year. So 16.67% of the year has passed. We'll try and go through this, and truly this is a work in progress. Cami sent this to me, and she's an accountant and she understands it, every single line, and I do not. So I'm going to learn as much as I can in the next little bit, but I'll explain the best I can for tonight. So we have 5 categories that our budget's broken up into: general fund, capital projects, sewer, garbage, and stormwater. And so each of those categories are shown here. First, we've got the general fund, revenues on the left, expenditures on the right. So we want to, at the end of the day, the bottom right-hand number should be close to the amount of time that has passed through the year. So 16.67% should match closely to what we have collected in revenues and what we have spent in expenditures. So you can see 13.5% in revenues and 14.9% in expenditures in our general fund and the categories that go with that. So, and that'll change. That'll go up and down throughout the year. But at the end of the year, we want to be close to our budget that we've set in June. So next slide. Cami insisted on putting in this cash balance, fund balance slide on every category. And the only one I really understand is this one. The state requires us to have an unassigned fund balance between 5 and 35%. And our unassigned fund balance is 1.163 right now, which is at 20%. If we ever get close to or go over 35%, we're required to take some of that money in our general fund and transfer to the capital projects fund, which will be actually shown in the next slide in capital projects. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 lines down, you can see a transfer from general fund. That's actually something we built into our budget this year to transfer by the end of the year, 429,478. So our revenues and capital project are only about 3% because if you can see the glaring number there is our grants. Even though we've been awarded those grants, we haven't collected any money of those grants. The biggest one being the 5500 project on the south side. And so once we start collecting that money, that number will come up in our revenues. Expenditures, we're only at 10.2%, so we're doing good that way. Next slide. Again, cash balance. I promise I'll learn more about this and why Cami insists on having this on there, but right now I don't understand it. So next slide, the sewer fund. So you can see this is kind of where our revenues and our expenditures come more into fruition. Our revenues are almost exactly how much time has passed, and our expenditures are 20.8%. We had some repairs and maintenance that needed to be done kind of on an emergency. So that's why it's a little bit higher. Next slide. Again, fund balance should be without the 0 on the right bottom number. Oh, you did fix it. Mine shows 0. Thank you. 1.1. Okay. Garbage, again, 16.8 revenues and 20.9 expenditures. Next slide. Cash balance and a fund balance in our garbage. Next slide is the stormwater, 19.4% revenues and 13.8% expenditures. And the final slide is the cash balance and the fund balance in the stormwater. So I, again, promise I'll find out more details on that next time I present. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I know too, as we're going through this, and this will be really helpful for Ryan to review this with us. Every month, once a month, we're going to do this. And sometimes too, and Cami can explain this and Ryan will as well, that sometimes numbers seem kind of off, but sometimes bills are billed quarterly. Sometimes they're not every month. Sometimes revenues come in that are quarterly and not every month. And so sometimes from one month to another, they might not seem exactly right on, but then you'll see by the end of the quarter that they have. So thank you, Ryan, for doing that. Okay, the next thing then we have is a discussion on our fee schedule updates. And there were just a couple of pages when I was going through this with Morgan today, because I don't feel like we needed to go through all of it again. But there were just a couple of questions that we had that we didn't know if we were quite ready to vote on this yet today. So let me just go through the pages of the questions that we really, I didn't feel like if we had 100% decided on. I think we went through the parks really good last time. Did anybody have any additional questions on those park that we talked about? Anyone? Okay.
Did we decide if we're doing rentals on Sundays? Or if we're doing any rentals on Sundays, field rentals?
Residents of Hoop are not team like tournaments. I don't think we should do team tournaments, but however, if it's a family or a resident of Hooper, I think, yeah, we can rent them out on Sunday. That's my thought, but I don't.
Do you think even if it was a family that wanted to do a tournament they were in charge of, I think we probably need to make that pretty specific if we just say we don't want to rent out for team tournaments, because sometimes we find that someone will come in and they are a resident of Hooper. So do you want to just, because that is something that we will then have written into this when we,
I would say no, because I think the complaint that I heard all summer long was just the congestion and the noise and it bothered some people and it didn't bother others. So I'd probably say no tournaments, but if a family wanted to rent it out, go for it.
rented out the park, but not,
Sure.
they couldn't
Not
come
as a-
and stay for a tournament, like
Right.
if family's over.
That's just my
They went-
thought.
Okay.
Dale, you live right by here, so what do you think?
I've never experienced where a family has a tournament that would equal what's taken place here on the Sundays this past summer. So I agree. I think a family could rent that out. I really can't see a family putting together a tournament, at least from what I've experienced, that would equal what we've had. So that's my input on that. I think we could just rent it out to families and exclude tournaments, and I don't think we're going to run into an issue with that.
So then Sunday is going to be a Hooper Day, Hooper Residence Day,
Right.
basically. Okay.
And then did we decide for sure on an amount to rent out the whole park? We'd had 500 and 1,000, and we'd also had 750 and 1,500. But I had both numbers written down, so I wasn't certain what we had settled on that number. So 750 for the whole park for residents and 1,500 for a non?
This one?
For both. I mean, either one, for either park.
So I'd say 500,000. It seems so.
Yeah, that sounds 500.
Okay.
You get more for your money at the other park.
Well, and I don't think we've included the rodeo grounds in as the park. Do you want to leave the rodeo grounds? How it's been so far with the rodeo grounds is Saturdays and Sundays, unless if someone specifically has it rented out, for example, for a 4-H show, Sunday's been open ride at the park. We have not rented out the rodeo arena. And if someone came in to rent the whole park, we didn't include the rodeo arena with the park. Okay. Okay. The other thing that we had, just wanted to verify and make sure was, if you go, it's on page 4, and it talks about the zoning code enforcement fines. So one thing we talked about last time is, you see what the first notice was no fine, the second notice was $125, but we had added in there per day. And then the third notice was the above 125 plus $250 per day. And we had done that. That was for the Class B and also for the Class C and also for the infraction. They had been changed to per day.
Well, if they've been informed and I'm sure that they've been talked to before and stuff, if they've been informed and stuff, I don't see a problem with it being a daily thing. That puts a little meat to it, teeth to it, not meat, put a little teeth to it. And maybe we'll have some better results with some of the people that we have that don't comply. That's just a thought for me.
Was that, for example, is that the one that we've talked about previously? Does that apply to the example we have?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know that it would necessarily apply to you're talking about the ADUs that we were talking about?
5100 West issue. That the
Oh, yeah, I would think so. If it was the first notice and then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in here, what I was going back to is we talked about earlier was the ADU. We don't have anything in here built in. You know how when we were going through that if someone doesn't come in and fill out the paperwork saying that they are living in one of the units and renting out the other one, or if they violate that, you know, it said they would be a misdemeanor, which we didn't feel like that was hardly right. Do we want to build in a fine or not at this time?
I think we should build in a fine. So otherwise we'll be going back and putting one in.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a suggestion for that?
I don't, off the top of my head. Any help?
Oh, I respect that. My thought may be give it a year and see if they comply. And then if not, then you guys can revisit it. And, you know, when you do the schedule next year, impose a fine. Kind of give it I guess, a honeymoon type phase just to kind of work it in and see what happens. That might be my thought.
Because so far we haven't even had them come in, fill out even having them fill out the paperwork would be the first step, because we haven't even had them do that. So maybe if we did try that and see, and then if it didn't, you know, we always can revisit this and add something in if it looks like it's being violated.
I guess if they aren't built.
Would you need, you probably need to put a time frame in there because there may be a time frame where nobody's living there. And they don't want to be in violation of it, but that just might be a period of time when someone's not there.
Well, can you think of anything else then that needs to be added on to this? If we bring this next time, we can vote on it and get this approved, and we will have a resolution ready to go that this will be our fee schedule. Anything new anybody has?
What were the fines we were talking about with Malcolm in our work meeting? Was that it that you just talked about? When Malcolm said we were gonna look at some fines for what he was doing.
I think that was Malcolm, I think you were talking about the ADUs,
Was
wasn't
it
it?
the ADU fines? Oh, okay. Do you have a recommendation?
No.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I
We
think
can
it might
find
not-
one.
And it might
What's
not be.
the, what's
I-
the in compliance fine that you made daily? Was it 50 was the fine and you were gonna make it 50 daily? Where's that one at on the fee schedule? Sherry, do you see it? What category was that one under?
It's on page 4 under zoning code enforcement civil fines.
I would imagine it would be pretty close to that. I think it's a
But
zoning
see,
issue.
that's
so-
what we were changing to $125 per day. But is that, we want to do that, or do we want to just have them fill out the paperwork and then let them see if that works? And it maybe if we have in there that they need to come in every year and fill out I don't know. I think that would seem too high to have them pay $150 per day. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's gonna get their attention when they have to pay anything, so. I'd say per occurrence, so there's 50 or 100. Here's what we asked you to do, you didn't do it, now here's your fine.
Maybe we could have the same thing. They could get a warning. And then if they didn't, so the first one, there could be no fee like we have here. And then $50, 100, 75 in the middle. Okay. And then I
No,
guess,
no fine, second notice 50. Do you want a third notice? That's how these typically escalate on here. You want third to be 100? It'd be 150 total if they didn't comply.
yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, anything else? I think last time we, went through, I don't really think there was anything. We talked about not changing the cemetery rates. Anything else? Yes, that is the new sewer impact fee. And some of these are just dependent on what they are. So we were just going to change and have it be the current cost because it's too hard to keep changing. The one thing we did talk about last time was, and that had to do with this was on page 5, and it had to do with the sewer and then the new pit valve vacuum sewer connection fee. And that's the one that we had put in there that Jared had said to do $10,000 and we would keep the receipts. And if it was less, we'll refund. If not, they would pay more. Okay, well, if none of any questions, then we'll have this ready to be voted on next time. And then we can get also a resolution made to approve that fee schedule. Any other comments on that? Okay, thank you. Okay, the next thing, I just wanted to do a quick discussion on the Open Meetings Act. This is a training that we are supposed to complete every single year. Morgan in the past has sent this out to you, and it is just one you can do online. It is through the auditor's office. It's the Open and Public Meeting Act training. And we can send that back out to you again. This needs to be done every year. Morgan keeps track of everyone that has completed that. I'm sure you have, and maybe just haven't necessarily given that certificate to Morgan. So if you have done that, would you please get that certificate to her? If you have not, we will send that email out to you. I just redid it again today, I could give you a little more information, and it takes about 10 minutes, and it's really good to go through and talk about that as a refresher. Just a reminder to us, sometimes I know that there are residents that might send an email or a text message, and it comes to all of us as part of the Open Meetings Act. If you respond to that, you are violating the Open Meetings Act. And so you need to make sure that if like I say, an email or a text message comes to all of us, you're more than welcome to respond to that person individually, but do not respond on that same thread, because as soon as then there are 3 people, that becomes a quorum, and then we have violated that act. So just a reminder on that, and then get that training done if you haven't done that this year. And like I said, Morgan will get that resent back out to you that you need to do that every year. Any questions on that at all? Okay. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is, as you are aware, Reed Richards, our attorney, has retired, and Brandon Richards, our other attorney, has been appointed a commission in the position in the judge as, well, not a judge, but a commissioner in the court system. And so we put out an RFP, and we received a proposal back. We had last Wednesday an opportunity to ask questions to the attorneys that had submitted the proposal to us, and we have them here with us tonight. We are happy to have Matt Wilson and Darren Curtis with us. And so I had sent out a cost comparison, because I know at the end at that meeting, we kind of want to go through and see comparisons. And so I sent that out to you as far as a mayor's report comparing the costs. They would be our legal counsel. As far as our general counsel, we have already secured the services of Brandon Miles to be our prosecutor. And so I included that as well. And so tonight, with the advice and consent of the city council, I would like to appoint and award the contract to Matthew Wilson and Darren Curtis. But we can have a discussion on that first if anyone has questions, or if you'd like to invite them up to ask them any questions.
I know one question was, your feeling about ordinances, because there's always a time when, do we really need to follow ordinances? Do we look at those as though they're the law? And if someone's breaking ordinances, do we have to follow up on that and make sure they come into compliance? And actually, I think, well, either one, yeah, both of you come up. I'd really like to, because I think this is important for our citizens to know, that when we are hiring legal counsel, that's what we're doing. It's to keep us on track, to make sure we aren't missing the mark over and over. And so I'd just like you to respond to that. How you feel about ordinances,
I just feel really short standing in front of Darren, so I'm gonna let him respond to this one.
Okay.
Well, we took an oath to uphold the law, and that's what we're gonna do for the city. The ordinances are important. That's why we go through the whole government process. You guys went through the legislative process. The people of the city had the opportunity to come and discuss when those ordinances were adopted. And that's the whole point of this whole process that you go through, and we are here to uphold it. Our recommendation is to always follow the code. That's going to be our recommendation when we're dealing with these issues. When it comes to insurance coverage and those kind of things, obviously following the code is the right thing to do for the city. So that's good. That's where we're going to stand.
Okay, so just to follow up on that, we felt like we've had a code violation in the city, and we was hoping that Weber County would support us on that and do something about it. That they would send their code enforcement officer out and inspect it, and it never happened. In fact, they haven't been willing to. So as city attorneys, what would you do in a case like that?
One, I would have to look at the tools that we have. That's something I deal with all the time. I deal with code enforcement. If our code does not have the tools to have that happen, and so that those things can be taken care of efficiently, then it might be a problem with the code. It might be the way that it was written. It might be with the enforcement of that code and how that works. And one thing we do have to understand is there is a budget, and the city has to deal with budget, and sometimes taking care of those things is expensive on the front end. But depending on how the code's written, those expenses a lot of times would go to the homeowner to be taken care of that way. So I would have to look at the code specifically to respond to that, but I would want to give as much tools and teeth to the code so that we can handle that here in-house.
And I'll just add, I'm assuming there's a contract with Weber County with the code enforcement, and so it might be necessary to look at the contract and see that they're fulfilling their obligations in that part as well. As Darren said, though, it really does come down to the code. A lot of times your code can include taking someone to justice court and abating a nuisance or code enforcement violation there, or you can pursue it just civilly in civil court. There are many tools, but it just depends on the code.
So that makes a lot of sense, maybe sometimes we need to review our codes a little better. I would hate to think that because of how much a code costs to enforce, we don't enforce it. I think maybe you kind of alluded to that. Maybe it's too expensive to enforce a code, and that would imply that maybe the code needs to be written a little different. Is that right?
That's what I was getting at.
Okay.
Because we just need to make sure that goes to the homeowner or the person that's violating the code, so that we can get that money back. So that's what I was alluding to.
Okay.
So.
Anybody have any other questions for them? Okay, if not, then
I've got one, Sherry, sorry. In our work meeting the other day, we had talked about Reed Richards being kind of a mentor or a transition person. Did we decide on a time frame, how long we want Reed to retain Reed to help transition these good?
Well, I think
people?
that would be a good part of our motion.
Mhm.
Might be retain him as long as until we actually receive an official notice that he is leaving us, from him.
Yeah, I think we should allow him to send us a resignation letter, give him that courtesy, and help you guys make the transition. Yeah, we'd be paying too, but I don't anticipate it being much of a cost, but he could kind of get you up to speed. He has been here 25 years. So I think that's a good a good strategy.
I was thinking 60 to 90 days, maybe. I don't know what you guys were envisioning, but something reasonable.
We're ready to hit the ground running whenever you're ready to have us. And I'll tell you, I have a great working relationship with Reed, as I stated. I mean, he was a mentor to my dad. He's been a mentor to me as well. And yeah, we have that great working relationship. I don't see any issues there, but whenever you're ready for us, we're ready to go.
So maybe, like you said, we could leave that up to Reed to decide when he wants to, because I think, like you said, I think we'd be ready to have you start as soon as we have a contract signed. And then, because Reed has been agreeable to work with them, and we could leave that up to Reed for as long as he felt like. And it might not necessarily be a day-to-day thing, or maybe might just still for a while you call and say, hey, I have a question or something with that. With that then, is there someone that would like to make the motion to award the contract?
I'll try to word the motion correctly to award the contract to, do we do that by your names? Darren
Wilson-
Curtis
Wilson
and Matt Wilson, or Wilson and Wilson PLLC.
It's, yeah, it'd be Wilson and Wilson PLLC.
Award the contract to Wilson and Wilson PLLC, with part of that motion being we retain Reed Richards until such time that he notifies us that he's done with us, however you would want to word that.
Okay, so we've had a motion made by Councilmember Fowers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second made by Councilmember Maragoni. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Welcome to Hooper. We hope you'll enjoy it here. I'm sure you will. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing we have then is approval to draft the amendment of HCC 10-2B6 for oversized structures. We had a discussion about this at our last meeting. We talked about it in our work meeting. So what we need to do is someone needs to make a motion to have this amendment, a motion for them to draft the amendment, and we will see that again at our next meeting, and then we would actually vote on the oversized structure amendment, but we needed to have approval to even draft that amendment.
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approval to draft the amendment of HCC 10-2B-6 for oversized structures.
The motion was made by Councilmember Wilcox. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second is made by Councilmember Hill. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next one then is approval of ordinance number 202504. And again, we had this last time. We had Taylor Stoffer come and present this. In your packet, you should have received this ordinance that has to do with the SWIP. If you remember, we are in the process of a audit, and this was one of the things that we had to do, was have this ordinance. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to look through this ordinance. And then we can discuss this if anybody has any questions on this ordinance. Does anybody have any questions on this ordinance at all?
No,
Oh,
it
oh,
just
go
seems
ahead.
like, I'm just going to make a comment that sometimes, as much as we hate to have to get things so specific when it comes to stormwater, I know this is something that hasn't been addressed in a long time, and based on our audit, we probably need to tighten things up to prevent having any type of problem with that audit, any findings like they found this last round. So I think it's important to update this.
Yes, and that was one of the findings in the audit, was that we did not have an ordinance that specifically did update our stormwater. So if there's not any questions, then if someone would like to make the motion to approve this ordinance,
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance of number 2025-04, an ordinance updating the stormwater ordinance of Hooper City.
the motion was made by Councilmember Wilcox. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Second made by Councilmember Fowers. Any discussion on the motion? Because this is an ordinance, we are going to do this by roll call vote. Councilmember Wilcox,
Aye.
Councilmember Hill,
Aye.
Councilmember Maragoni,
Aye.
Councilmember Northrup,
Aye.
Councilmember Fowers.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the next thing on the agenda then is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, the motion was made by Councilmember Maragoni. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second made by Councilmember Fowers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is adjourned. Thank you.